3-year-old Tyler Bennett was napping in his upstairs bedroom when an electrical fire erupted in the kitchen below, quickly spreading through his family's two-story home while his parents were at the grocery store. The flames blocked all escape routes, trapping Tyler in his room as smoke began filling the house. But Max, a German shepherd from next door who had never shown aggressive behavior in his life, sensed the danger and did something extraordinary. The gentle family dog broke through the Bennett's front door, fought his way through smoke and flames to reach Tyler's room, and carried the unconscious toddler to safety just moments before the ceiling collapsed. Max's unprecedented act of courage would save a child's life and prove that heroism knows no boundaries, not even property lines. Welcome to Saved by Tales. Before we dive into this heart-stopping story of a neighbor's dog becoming an unlikely firefighter to save a trapped child, tell me in the comments, have you ever witnessed an animal risk everything to help someone who wasn't even their own family? And if you believe these incredible stories of animals breaking every rule to save innocent lives deserve to be heard, hit that subscribe button and join our community celebrating the four-legged heroes who see no difference between mine and yours when a life is at stake. Maple Street in suburban Phoenix was the kind of neighborhood where children played together in front yards, parents waved to each other from porches, and everyone knew their neighbors' pets by name. The Bennett family had lived at 247 Maple for 3 years, ever since Tyler was born, and had developed close friendships with the families around them. Next door at 249 Maple lived the Rodriguez family with their 5-year-old German shepherd, Max. The gentle giant had been adopted from a rescue shelter as a puppy and had grown into the neighborhood's unofficial greeter, welcoming new residents with tail wags and accepting pets from every child on the street. Max is like the neighborhood ambassador, joked Maria Rodriguez when friends visited. He knows every kid within 3 blocks and thinks they're all his responsibility. Max was particularly fond of Tyler Bennett, who would often toddle over to the fence separating the 2 yards to offer Max treats or just sit beside him in companionable silence. The bond between the 3-year-old and the dog was special, transcending the property line that technically separated them. Tyler's parents, Jessica and Mark Bennett, trusted Max completely. That dog has never shown an aggressive bone in his body. Jessica often told other parents, Tyler is safer with Max than he is with most babysitters. On October 23rd, that trust would be tested in ways no one could have imagined. Jessica and Mark had left Tyler napping upstairs while they made a quick trip to the grocery store for ingredients for that evening's dinner. The 3-year-old was a reliable napper who typically slept for 2 hours in the afternoon, giving his parents time to run essential errands. We'll be back before Tyler wakes up, Jessica told their neighbor Maria Rodriguez as they backed out of the driveway. He's sleeping soundly. What the Bennetts didn't know was that a short in the kitchen's electrical system had begun generating heat in the wall space behind the refrigerator. Old wiring that hadn't been updated when they bought the house was slowly overheating, creating conditions that would soon ignite the wood framing and insulation. Max was in the Rodriguez backyard when he first detected the smell of smoke. The German shepherd's acute senses picked up the chemical odor of burning electrical components and wood before any human would have noticed the danger. At first, Max simply paced along the fence line, nose working to identify the source of the concerning smell. But as the fire gained strength inside the Bennett house's walls, Max's behavior became increasingly agitated. Within 30 minutes of the Bennett's departure, the electrical fire had spread from the kitchen walls into the living room and was beginning to climb toward the 2nd floor where Tyler slept. The house's smoke detectors hadn't yet activated because the fire was still contained mostly within the wall spaces, but Max's sensitive nose detected the danger immediately. The German shepherd began barking urgently toward the Bennett house, a behavior that was completely out of character for the normally quiet dog. Maria Rodriguez, who was working in her garden, initially thought Max was reacting to a delivery truck or postal worker. Max, quiet, Maria called, but the dog's barking only intensified. He began running back and forth along the fence, clearly distressed about something happening at the Bennett house. When Maria looked toward the Bennett home, she couldn't see any obvious problems. The house appeared normal from the outside, and Tyler's bedroom window showed no signs of distress, but Max's agitation continued to escalate. Then Maria saw the first wisp of smoke emerging from the Bennett house's kitchen window, and everything changed. Fire! Maria screamed as she saw smoke beginning to pour from the lower level of the Bennett house. She immediately called 911 while running toward the house to check for occupants. But Max didn't wait for human emergency response. The German shepherd had been tracking the fire's progress through scent and sound, and he understood that Tyler was trapped upstairs while flames were spreading below. The dog did something that shocked Maria and would later amaze firefighters and animal behaviorists. Max backed up several steps from the Bennett's front door, then charged at it with the full force of his 85-pound frame. Max, no, Maria called, but the dog was beyond commands. He was operating on pure protective instinct, understanding that a child he loved was in mortal danger. The first impact cracked the door frame. The second impact splintered the lock mechanism. On the third charge, Max broke through the front door and disappeared into the smoke-filled house. Inside the Bennett house, conditions were rapidly becoming deadly. Smoke was filling the downstairs areas as fire spread through the walls and began breaking into open rooms. The temperature was rising quickly, and toxic gases were accumulating throughout the house. Max fought his way through the smoke toward the staircase, guided by his knowledge of the house layout from previous visits and his acute hearing that could detect Tyler's breathing from the upstairs bedroom. The German Shepherd's thick coat provided some protection from the heat, but the smoke was affecting his respiratory system as he climbed the stairs. Each breath was becoming more difficult, but Max continued upward, driven by the need to reach Tyler. At the top of the stairs, Max could hear Tyler stirring in his bedroom, awakening from his nap as smoke began seeping under his door. The child was confused and frightened, calling for his parents who weren't there to answer. Tyler was standing in his crib, crying and coughing from the smoke that was entering his room, when Max burst through the bedroom door. The 3-year-old's face lit up with relief at seeing his familiar friend. "Max," Tyler called, reaching his small arms toward the dog who had somehow appeared when he needed help most. Max's response demonstrated intelligence and decision-making that amazed later investigators. Instead of trying to get Tyler to follow him down the dangerous stairs, Max used his teeth to grab Tyler's pajama shirt and lift the toddler out of the crib. The German Shepherd then carried Tyler in his mouth the way mother dogs transport their puppies, protecting the child from smoke inhalation while navigating back through the increasingly dangerous house. Downstairs, the fire had spread into the living room and was beginning to threaten the structural integrity of the staircase. Max had minutes, possibly seconds, before escape would become impossible. Max emerged from the burning house carrying Tyler, just as fire department units arrived on scene. The dog's fur was singed, his paws were burned from hot flooring, and he was suffering from severe smoke inhalation. But he had successfully rescued Tyler from conditions that would have been fatal within minutes. "I've never seen anything like it," said Fire Captain Robert Chen, as paramedics treated both Tyler and Max. "That dog conducted a perfect search and rescue operation under conditions that would challenge experienced firefighters." Tyler was conscious but affected by smoke inhalation. He clung to Max even as paramedics prepared to transport them both to the hospital, understanding that the big dog had saved his life. The Bennett house was completely destroyed by the fire, which firefighters determined had spread too rapidly to save the structure. If Max hadn't acted when he did, Tyler would have been trapped as the fire engulfed the upstairs area. Jessica and Mark Bennett received the call about the fire while they were in the grocery store checkout line. They arrived at the scene to find their home destroyed but their son alive, thanks to Max's unprecedented rescue mission. Max saved Tyler's life. Fire Captain Chen explained to the devastated parents, "The dog somehow knew your son was in danger and broke into your house to get him out. Without Max's intervention, this would have been a tragedy." At the hospital, Tyler was treated for minor smoke inhalation and released the same evening. Max required more extensive treatment for burns and respiratory distress, but veterinarians were optimistic about his recovery. "Max is a hero in every sense of the word," said Dr. Amanda Foster, who treated Max's injuries. "He risked his own life to save Tyler, and he did it using intelligence and courage that went far beyond normal animal behavior." The fire investigation revealed that the electrical fire had spread with unusual rapidity due to old wiring and dry conditions in the wall spaces. The house had been fully involved within 45 minutes of ignition, leaving very little time for rescue once the fire became visible from outside. Max's early detection and immediate action were crucial, explained Fire Marshal Lisa Rodriguez. "Dogs can detect smoke and heat signatures long before humans notice danger." Max essentially provided an early warning system that saved Tyler's life. The investigation also revealed that Max had somehow learned the layout of the Bennett house through previous social visits, knowledge that he used to navigate directly to Tyler's room despite smoke and dangerous conditions. This dog demonstrated problem-solving abilities and spatial memory that rival trained search and rescue dogs, said Dr. Robert Kim, an animal behaviorist who studied Max's rescue. His actions were intelligent, purposeful, and incredibly brave. News of Max's heroic rescue spread quickly through the Phoenix area and then nationwide, inspiring people with the story of a neighbor's dog who had risked everything to save a child who wasn't even his own family. The Rodriguez family received letters and donations from across the country to help pay for Max's medical treatment. Local businesses offered free services to help the Bennett family rebuild their lives after losing their home. "Max represents the best of what animals can be," said Phoenix Mayor Jennifer Walsh during a ceremony honoring the heroic dog. He saw no difference between his family and the neighbors when a life was at stake. Max's recovery from his burns and smoke inhalation took several weeks, during which Tyler visited him daily at the veterinary hospital. The bond between the boy and his rescuer had deepened through their shared traumatic experience. "Tyler understands that Max saved him," Jessica Bennett observed. "Even at 3 years old, he knows Max is special. He won't leave Max's side during visiting hours." When Max finally returned home, Tyler was there to welcome him with hugs, treats, and the kind of attention that only a grateful child can provide. The German Shepherd seemed to understand that his mission had been successful and his young friend was safe. Max received numerous awards for his heroism, including the American Kennel Club's Award for Canine Excellence, the National Fire Protection Association's Animal Hero Award, and recognition from the Phoenix Fire Department as an honorary firefighter. But the recognition that meant the most came from Tyler himself, who presented Max with a handmade medal during a neighborhood ceremony celebrating the dog's heroism. "Max is my hero," Tyler said in his 3-year-old vocabulary. "He saved me from the fire. I love Max." The Bennett family's experience led to enhanced fire safety awareness throughout their neighborhood and community. Many families updated their electrical systems, installed additional smoke detectors, and created emergency plans that included provisions for pets to assist in evacuations. Max's story reminds us that fire safety is everyone's responsibility, said Fire Chief Martinez, and sometimes our best early warning systems have 4 legs and better sensors than any technology we can install. The Rodriguez family also became advocates for rescue dog adoption, sharing Max's story to demonstrate the incredible potential of shelter dogs who are given the chance to become family members. 5 years after the fire rescue, Max and Tyler remained best friends across the fence line that separated their families but could never separate their hearts. Tyler, now 8 years old, often told people about how Max had saved his life when he was little. "Max broke down our door and carried me out of the fire," Tyler would explain with the pride of someone who had been rescued by a real hero. "He's the bravest dog in the world." The Bennett family had rebuilt their home with enhanced fire safety features, but they knew their greatest protection came from Max's continued vigilance in watching over Tyler and the entire neighborhood. Their story continued to inspire communities and demonstrate that heroism recognizes no boundaries when innocent lives are at stake. I still think about that October afternoon when a German shepherd looked at a burning house and saw past the property line, past the danger to himself, past every instinct that should have told him to stay safe. If Max had waited for firefighters, if he'd respected the boundary between his family and the neighbors, Tyler Bennett would have died alone in his bedroom while help was still minutes away. Max's story teaches us something profound about the nature of love and responsibility. This dog didn't save Tyler because he was trained to do rescue work or because someone commanded him to act. He saved Tyler because when love sees danger threatening innocence, property lines disappear, safety considerations become secondary, and the only question that matters is how can I help? Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever witnessed an animal risk everything to help someone who wasn't even their own family? Have your pets shown protective instincts that extended beyond your immediate household to neighbors or strangers? These acts of expanded compassion might happen more often than we realize. Share your experiences in the comments below, because at Saved by Tales, we believe that our greatest heroes are often the ones who see no difference between mine and yours when someone needs saving. If Max's incredible story moved you, if it reminded you that true heroism recognizes no boundaries when lives are at stake, please share this video with others who need to see what unconditional courage looks like. Hit that like button, subscribe to Saved by Tales, and help us continue telling the stories of animals whose love extends beyond their own families to embrace anyone who needs protection. Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes the greatest acts of heroism happen when someone decides that not my responsibility isn't good enough when a life hangs in the balance.